Good morning. Good morning. So I normally don't do card pulls. Um I don't know why I'm being led to do them now. Um but if this is what comes to me, this is what comes to me. I'm normally not somebody who gets on here and does readings. Um Good morning. So I'm shuffling the deck now, and I'll just close my eyes and kind of just the card that needs to be used today will make itself known to me. It's kind of how it works. Oh, and kind of fell out of the deck. So I guess that answers that question. When the card falls out the deck, it's like, handed. All right, so let's see what this one is today. This is Sacred Space in Lalibela, Ethiopia. You're being asked to sit in or create a sacred space so that you may get centered, be clear, and remain open to receive your next creative inspiration. If you don't have access to a space that is typically used for sacred or ritual purposes, you may temporarily dedicate any available space, transforming it into a metaphysical container appropriate for sacred work. And the mantra for this card is powerfully curate a sacred container. So that's the card that like jumped out. Good morning, y'all. That's the card that jumped out of the deck um, this morning. I don't know how many times I'm gonna do these readings on here. Like I said, I have like 7 decks. I used to do readings a lot. It's very draining. Lately, it's like when I come on live, it's like do a reading from this deck. So that's what I do. I just try to follow along. Sacred space, though. So this morning, I actually sat in meditation for the longest that I've sat in meditation for a while. Um, I sat in meditation for 20, probably about 35 minutes this morning. Um, yeah, 30, yeah, 30 to 30, let's say 30 minutes. I sat in meditation for 30 minutes this morning. Um, and it was necessary. I'm still a little off. My energy is a little off, so forgive me if it takes a little longer for things to come through this morning. Still dealing with residues of anger and just confusion um, over a long-term friendship that I've had. So it's kind of like it's in the back of my head and I feel it in my body, and I'm letting it flow through my body because you know the instinctual action is to shut off the uncomfortable emotions, right? When we're feeling something that's uncomfortable, the first instinct is to really just want to shut it down. We don't want to feel it. We don't want to feel the hurt, the confusion, the what is happening here. And this is for any situation. And I'm taking time as I go through this process to really allow myself to not just be in the knots and stomach place. By the way, I'm really excited because I actually have on my nipple jewelry that I showed you guys yesterday. So that's like a bright spot in my life right now. Just like I feel the, I can feel the jewels like, like every time I move. So that makes me happy. But I think a lot of us are taught to kind of to shut it down because we got to keep going. Like the show must go on, and we can allow ourselves to stop and feel anything. So I'm letting myself feel all of it, and it is ugly, and just I'm just uncertain about all of it, right? Um, so I encourage you that if you're in that space or if you've been in that space, to allow yourself to just feel it and still show up anyway. Like I don't show up on my live streams to be perfect, or to, I mean, I promise I'm gonna try not to pick my nose on here, because sometimes I do that and I don't even think about it. And sometimes I'm like, oh, are you live? Just being honest. But I try not to, my goal is not to show up as though there's nothing going on in my life where it's always like great. Because some days just fucking suck. Some days are shitty. And that's part of our human experience. So right now I'm kind of going through this shitty thing, and I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what's going to happen. And my stomach is kind of in knots, and I feel like this anxious feeling that flows through me, and it's kind of like, what's going on here? But while that feeling is happening, while that's kind of running, it's not really in the background. It's like in the middle. It's not in the foreground, but it's in the middle. What's in the front, though, because of the work I've done, and this is why it's important to create sacred space. This is why it's important to create sacred space and to sit in it, and to incorporate tools like meditation into your life. Because although I have this thread running through me of some anxiety and fear over the possible loss of this friendship, what's running in the front of me is the understanding that it's all okay. That in some ways, perhaps, that if I have to let this go, it's okay. And for me, this letting, I'm saying this for me, using me as an example, that if this is going on in your life, that maybe this may help you. In some ways, this feels like as if someone has stolen. It feels like someone stole something from you, or this is the last part of my past. I don't speak to many people, really any, before my marriage. It's kind of a sad thing. Friends from high school. I didn't have any friends in college because I didn't stay in college. And so this person is the last thread that connects me to who I was before I got married. And to lose that means the full letting go in many aspects of who I was. And what's interesting is that I've been asked to do that through the work that I've been doing. I've been posting like I'm in a season of fire, and I know that part of this journey is me having to shed parts of me that no longer belong to me, and parts of and pieces, and like, I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like, in order for me to step into the next phase of my life, I knew that I was going to have to like drop shit. I just didn't want it to be this. Right? I didn't want it to be this. Anything else. But that's how it works. A lot of times when you're looking to change and looking to grow, you can't take your favorite toy with you. That's usually the thing that you're absolutely going to be asked to give up. So when some of you are like, you're on this healing journey and you want to be in this space, yes, do that. But understand, you cannot step into the person that spirit is calling you to be and bring with you your toys from the past. You cannot. You will have to leave it behind. And you need to ask yourself if you're ready to do that. The answer for me is yes, I am. I'm ready to do it. It hurts like fucking hell, though. This is painful for me. This friendship has carried me through the transition of my marriage, this friendship is one of the ties that my children would have to who their father was. And even if the friendship doesn't dissolve, like for real, even if it doesn't dissolve completely, it won't be the same as it was before anyway, due to a variety of circumstances. It just won't be the same. And so there's still grief there. It's gonna be different. It will not be what it was before, even if we stay in touch. Is that something you're prepared for? And I don't mean to sound like it's not a doom and gloom thing, because it's not. Because I want y'all to understand, like, that's why I said it's playing in the middle. What's in the front of me is the full understanding of the power that is rising up through me, and the understanding of what is necessary for me to jump from this level to this one, and that there are things that are going to have to be let go, and I'm happy to let them go. I'm not happy about what's happening, but I'm happy to let them go, if that makes sense. If you might be required to move somewhere. You might be trying to stay in your space, in your town, in your city, in your borough, in your state, and you are getting the pull that you have to leave. You are supposed to go, and you are like, I can't leave. My family's here. I can't leave. All my friends are here. I can't leave. These people are here. I won't know anyone where I go. And it's like, that is not the point. The people are waiting for you when you get there, but you're trying to hold on to a pond that's too small for you, that you've already outgrown. Some of y'all are holding on to friendships that you've outgrown. It is hard to let go of a friendship of 25 years. It is hard to turn it into something else where it's not the same friendship. As you're inserting your yoni egg, are you contemplating that? As you're going on your retreats, because this is for men and women, because you can't take your boys with you either. And then there's that conflict that comes into play of who you know you're supposed to be, and everything that you thought was you. Everything that you thought was you will be called into question. For most people, it is too painful. There are people who won't even acknowledge it, that these are changes that need to be made. There are people who know that there are changes who need to be made, and they just can't. They just can't. And there are people who know that the changes need to be made, and they will make them. That is the small minority. Can some of you who are descendants, by the way, if you are descendants of people who were kidnapped from the continent of Africa, can you understand why? Because I have extreme compassion for people who would not leave the plantation. I have extreme compassion for them. Just like I have compassion for people who might know that the changes need to be made. That's just not what this lifetime is for them. Like they'll sit in the house with everybody having a good time, and they'll be there. They'll be there as part of the good time, looking out the window at the rest of us, like doing it, just like, I wish I could be out there with them, but I can't. I can't. It's not an easy decision to let people go. It's death. It's death. Even though they're still physically here, there's something that dies in order for you to be reborn. Because death is never an end. It is always a beginning. There's never a time when something dies, when that is final. Whenever anything ends, a friendship, a marriage, any relationship, any bond, when it ends, it is because there's something new being birthed, and you will strangle yourself in the canal of your birth if you try to hold on to what is no longer supposed to be yours. Sacred space. Sacred space. Create that so that you can determine for yourself what the next moves will be. And don't do like I did this morning and sit and think you're going to get all the answers in one meditation, because you will not. I was hoping for that this morning, like the one meditation in the clarity. And I know that that's not true. I know that that's not how that happens. I was just hoping for it this morning. But you have to do it over time. When you create this sacred space for you to commune with yourself, you know, to me, communing with God is communing with the self, by the way. I don't feel myself communing with some other separate entity. I'm communing with a part of myself that is representative of that entity. But that's just my opinion. But when you sit and commune with whatever it is that you're communing with, it is to help give you clarity, because our human emotions will have us running all over the place. Our human emotions will have us trying to attach to something, someone, to help us feel safe. I was explaining to my 17-year-old son and I were having a conversation, and we were talking about self-preservation. And I forget the example that we were using, but I was telling him that at the end of the day, the most important thing to a human being is safety. We will burn things down for safety. We don't like to be afraid. We will pigeonhole ourselves for safety. We will keep people around us who mean us no good for safety, to feel a part of something, to feel loved, to belong, to feel special. Because safety is our number one concern. And if we followed our human, when it comes to being safe, we will not live whatever purpose-filled life. Great book, by the way, Christian Slant, but awesome book, The Purpose-Driven Life. We will not live that, because oftentimes what we are being called to do can leave us quite unsafe, feeling quite unsafe. It requires a courage beyond what we can imagine we can possibly muster. But when we feel that, walking the path that I walk is oftentimes very lonely. And I've passed that loneliness down, unfortunately, to my children, who see things and don't often connect with their peers. And I wish that it weren't that way. And I wish that it wasn't sometimes lonely this way. But I cannot imagine me not speaking to you all or doing what I do. I tried it once. I let this go, and it felt like something in me died. It felt like I completely disconnected from myself. And so, as much as this journey may not allow me to be friends with everyone I might like to be friends with, as much as it may make sometimes creating romantic relationships a little bit difficult, because as soon as most men take a look at my Instagram page or see that I have an OnlyFans, it'll be like, I'm gonna back away slowly. But I can't not do what I do so that I can have someone. I wish. Sometimes. I can't do that. That's not the travel for me this lifetime. And I'm very aware of that. And I'm very clear on that. I'm very clear on what my travel is this lifetime. I found that out by creating sacred space for myself and sitting in meditation and doing a lot of inner work. I encourage you to do the same. If there's confusion in your mind about what you're here to do, and a lot of times it's not confusion. Confusion is really, I just don't want to do that shit. Like a lot of y'all know. And I'm not saying that what you're supposed to do is get on live on Facebook, right? Your path doesn't look like mine. I'm saying whatever it is for you. Look, your path could be that you are to open up a restaurant, right? Let's take it out of like sex and stuff, because that people are like, I don't think I'm meant to talk about sex. No, you're probably not. So maybe you're meant to open a restaurant. Like, you know that cooking is your passion. You know that you like save lives when you cook. You feel me? Like you get into the heart and soul of people with that food, and you're sitting around like, it's too big. It's too big for me. I can't do that. But every time you feel that pull, and people are like, I want to buy a plate of your stuff and do this or do that. And you know, but it just feels too big for you. And you're like, no, I don't know. Am I sure? Is this supposed to be what I'm supposed to be doing? I don't really think so. I don't know. I mean, I'm not equipped for that, but you are. And as soon as you say yes and you commit to the thing, things will line up. As soon as you say yes and commit to it, things will line up. All right. Yeah, I feel like that's it for today. I feel like that's all that's I'm being told that you need for now. So create sacred space. Isn't this beautiful? This place in Ethiopia. The original, the Coptic Christians live, who have the original teachings and the original followers of the Judaic faith. Ethiopia, that area, that horn of Africa. I plan on visiting there. I'm sure it's amazing. Create this space for yourself. Be open to letting go of what you can't carry into the next version of who you are. I can say that right now my body feels clear, like that feeling that I had of anxiety that I said was kind of in the center is now in the back. It's not as much to the forefront as it was before, because I'm even clearer after speaking to you all. Be prepared to lose your favorite toys, your favorite people. Be prepared to lose the you who you thought you were as you step into the person that you say you want to be, which is why you keep signing up for all these classes and programs and reading all these books and buying all this sage and this Palo Santo. You ain't doing that shit for kicks, are you? Be prepared to lose pieces of your identity as you birth into the you that you are calling into existence. And know that even in the loss, you will find your group, you will find your people, and you will be loved because you already are. And that it will be okay. I hope you all are enjoying your day off. If you have a day off, if you don't, I hope you're enjoying your day anyway. I will see you all back here tomorrow morning. I love you. Take care.